this man with the pension fund now?
Maina Abdul.
What did you hear about his case again? Nothing. We've seen court sentenced some people that stole government money to court. And that court came, set them free. On what ground? On what basis?
Law.
On what?
Law.
You said law?
Yeah.
Really? And you think law is truly working there?
It's a dynamic thing.
It's a dynamic thing. Oh, awesome. So the fact that we still defend that law is a dynamic thing in Nigeria, that we don't make people pay for their actions, we don't make them pay for stealing our money, we continue to see stuff like this, and you and I will be the one to pay for it.
We just hope one day, someday, we'll get out of this issues in which we find ourselves. But because of the want of time, let's move on quickly. There is a picture there of the Lagos State Governor and checking out some of the shanties that will be pulled down. You have that headline there. It says Sanwo-Olu orders demolition of market built on drainage. If you have one, it's going down. Okay, further stories on the bottom strip. FG to grill NPower consultants, plans 5 million jobs. Looking at the dynamics of picking those who benefited from the NPower the other time, I wonder how this will be done again. 5 million jobs. If truly Nigerians can get 5 million jobs, it will really at least bring about a bit of peace. I know that I have a job I have to get into. Yeah. But all this free money would transfer 10,000, 75,000 naira. I really want to look at the dynamics where they use in getting those set of people to benefit. I'm not sure I have been able, in my years on earth and being a Nigerian, I keep hearing all those things, and I don't know how they choose people. I'm a Nigerian. I don't know why I've not benefited from this.
Let me ask you today. You do not know. Do you know any politician?
Oh, okay.
That's the reality.
It's until when I know.
Of course, you need to know. Even to get into the Nigerian army, to get into police, you need to know politicians. NPower jobs, all these are just a way for the boys to feed. That's what they use in repaying the people they used during the campaign, the electioneering issues. So that is why people like you.
At the expense of those who've gone through the four walls of the tertiary institutions.
Nobody care about that. You know, I think a police PPRO, you know, sometimes, let me use the word of Tunde and some other journalists now, allegedly said that when they questioned her about the set of people in police, and she said, that is the people your politicians send to us. They do not allow the police even to make their own recruitment themselves. They said, oh, this is my boy, put him somewhere. This is my girl, put her somewhere. That's what you have in all of our systems. You know, we keep on putting round peg in a square hole, and we're expecting a good result. It won't work. So for NPower, Tunde, the only thing you can do is get contact maybe from Femi, get some politicians, you'll get to the job.
I make a disclaimer on that. But yeah, in all sincerity, talking about the NPower scheme, I know quite a few persons who are possibly friends or acquaintances who got into the NPower, not really knowing anybody. Talking about the NPower.
It's going to be minute.
Just to state it there.
Yeah. The issue is all of us go to church to share testimony. Oh, I make this billion. Nobody cares to ask, did you steal it or you really make it?
All right.
So that answers for that.
Further stories from the Punch newspaper still. Road crashes deaths dropped by 1,118, says FRSC. We don't even want any. We don't want any. Pension in 24 trillion naira deficit before reforms. That's credited to Pencom DG. 24 trillion deficit before reforms. Wow. On the top strip of the same daily, governors, Labour begins talks over 35,000 naira wage award. I think it's something we had stated quite rightly on this program. Sometimes, ever since the federal government approved the 35,000 naira for federal workers. We said it, state workers, what would it look like? Let's keep our fingers crossed and let's see what that will look like. 1,000 killed as Israeli-Hamas conflict rages. U.S. deploys militants. 1,000 unnecessary death, which could have just this could probably have just come up at this point. What do you make of this? The trouble between Israel, the Palestine, and the group that actually started this, the Hamas. It's been there for years. The Gaza Strip, it belongs to us. It's not this and that. Remember something like that happened between Nigeria and Cameroon, Bakassi Peninsula. And eventually, okay, if you guys want to stay, then Nigeria let go. What do you think has been the challenge between Israel, the Palestine, with this Hamas group over the years? At least for the better part of 10 years, it's been one war, killings.
Well, so the reality is the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis has been there as far back as 1945. You know, the dislocation, the dislodgement of the Jews, the resettling them and all has been one of those things that started the issue around this. So that's I'm saying that for people that just feel this issue is a 2023 issue, it's not. No. It has been there a long time ago. And like you mentioned, somebody said it on the day Hamas attacked Israel that, see, nobody wins in a war. We only have casualties. That's the reality. Yes, Israel has killed a number of Hamas. Hamas has killed a number of Israelis. We are only making more people vulnerable. It's saddening that this is 23 and we are having a lot of wars in the world. Don't forget Russo-Ukrainian war that started more than going to 2 years now. We have coups in Africa. We have Sudan, Kazakhstan, and one other country.
Armenia.
Also Armenia. And now Israel and Hamas now, because I don't want to say it's an Israel-Palestine something. Hamas is a terrorist group that attacked Israel. And, as you know Israel for, they are always prepared. The Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said, see, we will make Hamas pay dearly. And as a matter of fact, yesterday after their Security Council meeting, he sent message to civilians in Hamas, in Gaza, that they should go to covers, that they want to attack all the Hamas leaders, which they have started. Well, I feel governments around the world need to come into this. We don't need to escalate this thing. Let us go to the negotiation table. What need be done? Enough of, see, what can be a beautiful place if we all choose to live peacefully around ourselves? Enough of all this. I see weapon of mass destruction, and I began to ask myself questions. Are we building these things because we hate each other so much? You see equipment being moved by the day on both parts. Israeli government, Hamas, Hezbollah from Lebanon are also saying if Israel attacks the Gaza Strips on ground, they are going to come in. A lot of terror. I read late yesterday night, that Taliban also are asking for Iranian government to allow them, pass through and come join the war. We don't need all these things. We need peace around the world, from Russia to Israel to Armenia to Sudan to everywhere. We need peace. Let us continue to enjoy the beautiful things that God has created for us.
And if we all remember, this was how it started last February, when Russia first of all attacked them.
It started like a joke, and it's sad that people that are not very close to them make it, catch cruise around it, so to say. People that are in worse situation. I saw video of one of the CNN reporters was lying flat at the airport in Tel Aviv. There are people on the line. Journalists also are not out of this. So if you feel, it doesn't, concern me where I am, you never can tell.
And lastly, quickly from the pages of the Punch newspaper, still, JAPA FGOK's contract jobs for retired doctors. So if you are a retired doctor, Contract jobs. I wish you, rather than leave the shores of Nigeria, we need our best hands here. That'll be all. Okay, you want to say something about that?
I want to say something about that. I was a victim of this Japa syndrome last week Friday. My day was rendered useless. I went to the hospital for a check on my high. I tell you, Sunday for free. I left the office around 12, got to the clinic that time. The ophthalmologist didn't come till past 12, and I left the place some few minutes to 10 p.m. I tell you, for free. To do what? Why? To do my eye check. Because it was only a single ophthalmologist attending to close to 50 of us.
Oh my goodness.
So it's, when issues like this happens, we feel, oh no, it doesn't concern me, it doesn't affect me. It affected me that day, and I saw the effect of Japa. So I think our government needs to see what we can, the best solution. The retired doctors, they are time to rest. Why don't we have a better living package for the doctors? Why don't we look at what are they doing right in Rwanda? It is sad that our doctors are leaving Nigeria for Rwanda, for Ethiopia, for Gambia. It's sad.
I understand. Honestly. That'll be all from the pages of the Punch newspaper. Femi takes it out from here.
All right, we'll go to the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun for today. Oh, I've run along with these headlines now. Tinubu, Atiku fight hard over CSU FBI files. Tinubu, Atiku fight hard over CSU FBI files. With a rider, President Chicago's lawyer hits ex-VP, say he's chasing shadows. Government planning to gag media ahead of release of investigative files. Atiku, this back and forth is just raging on. President Chicago lawyer hits ex-VP, says he's chasing shadows, and government planning to gag media ahead of release of investigative files. Atiku has spoken so many times on this back and forth on the Tinubu Atiku Chicago State University saga. Many persons have been talking on in different sides, different camps. The presidency has reacted, the APC rather, have reacted. The PDP has spoken. Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, has granted a press conference on that. Wait to see how these will pan out. And then the center there, you have a picture which has the Vice President Kashim Shettima, second left, there with Ogun State Governor and Chairman All Progressives Congress National Campaign Council for Kogi State Governorship Election, Dakwa Abiodun, Governorship Candidate Usman Ododo, National Chairman of the APC Abdullah Ganduje, with some other persons there. This is in Kogi State in preparation for the election. I think it's next month. Thereabout,
November 11th.
When you see politicians gather, they know how to find their way to themselves to go for just a cause. Moving on, federal government at crossroads over rising cost of petrol. With a rider, subsidy mandatory. Pengasan. Here we go.
Yes, here we go again, Femi. I think we've not shown seriousness on this subsidy and fuel crisis issue. Yes, the president, some people have targeted that not so serious comments on his inauguration. Subsidy has gone. That statement is weightier than what he expected. You know, I posted something that day. I said that comment would be followed with people, you know, ordering the product. And it's happened immediately, almost 1 hour later. You see, filling stations are constant. Locking up, we don't have fuel again because they know they've bought for cheaper price. They are going to sell for higher prices. Do you get? We don't just make such statement and expect nothing to happen. And now we are back at it. Don't forget also, there were claims that in August, the federal government paid subsidy. So how do we get out of this? The subsidy we claim it is gone, that we are still paying. And don't forget also on this show, we've read that the federal government said, no, they are trying to, that even the fuel prices ought to have gone up. They are trying to make sure. So are they using words to keep it down? No, they are paying money. That is subsidy. who is deceiving who? The federal government need to come out clean. As a matter of fact, they need to come and let the people know. See, this money is Nigerians' money. It's not Tinubu's money. It's not Atiku's money. It's nobody's money. It is Nigerians' money. Let people know where their money is going to.
All right. We have to move on. Imo, Bayelsa, Kogi Post, INEC laments insecurity, violence, unguarded utterances, and Guba, why APC must retain Kogi, Tinubu governors. With a rider, party receives defectors from opposition, and Serap wants court to stop Akpabio. Others from collecting salaries, pensions as senators. Then maybe we'll have talked on this, but maybe in our subsequent programs. Afghan earthquakes killed 2,053. Death toll rises. Wow. Mother Nature, it's really, really, as they say, not happy.
Yeah.
It was Morocco at some point later.
Turkey.
Yeah.
It happened in Turkey, now Afghanistan. I saw pictures from there yesterday.
Last month was Libya.
Yeah. I saw pictures from there yesterday. And, it's
terrible,
really terrible,
sad
sad to watch.
Wildfires across the Americas at some point.
That's why I said, we don't need to fight ourselves. Again, we have issues, a lot of issues in our hands.
Electricity Act 2023, 7 million unmetered customers risk disconnection. Electricity Act 2023, 7 million unmetered customers risk disconnection. Question is, why are they not metered?
Who is at
Many
fault?
persons have said they have paid for months, some for years. They have not been issued meters. And you are talking about the act stating that unmetered customers risk disconnections. Okay. You just fear for those disco staff members who will go to people's houses for the disconnection. They might get
they won't go.
They won't go. Because they might get to meet some stance resistance.
They won't go.
Especially for people who have paid. And they don't have their meter. And you are not talking about disconnection.
Femi, I have people that have paid as far back as 2015.
And so they are still not being metered.
They don't have the meter.
Did they pay to the right channel?
They paid. I volunteered for an organization that we did this documentation about them. They paid into the company's accounts.
And we saw the issues till now.
Almost 5-6
one
of them threatened.
Yeah.
We had a meeting with the disco, with the house committee on whatever. And one of them came with charm. He said he would use it on one of them. We had to calm them and say, please, we are going to settle.
All right, and finally, so that we are not charmed there, Israel, Hamas war escalates. Casualties skyrocket. And definitely, it's sadly expected because both sides are not backing down. Many interests are pledging the alliance across both sides of the hostilities. The UN spoke on it yesterday, but we get to interrogate these, in a subsequent program as well. That will be all. And this is what time will permit us to handle this morning.
Thank you. We'd like to thank our in-house analyst, Lade Jalabi. Thank you for your insightful thoughts and analysis. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
At this moment in time, the conversation is next. And what we will be looking at, the state of insecurity. We'll definitely focus on the deteriorating security situation in our dear nation called Nigeria. What's the way out? We'll be talking to experts concerning this. It's the Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're actually using it to empower people in these communities. The Kids Beach Garden actually started in 2015. I stumbled upon the beach and I found out that it was really dirty. So I said, why don't we start teaching children in their formative years to clean the environment and also encourage them to do something to make the environment a better place. We focus on children because they need these values. They need to be taught how to take care of the environment, give back to the environment as well. We teach them recycling, And we teach them upcycling, how to use an old glass jar to make a flower pot and things like that. So it keeps them really engaged. Teach a child something and it grows with the child forever. I want to see young people taking responsibility for their planet and for their future. The ocean is everybody's livelihood. The oceans are the lungs of the earth. Everybody has a role to play to make sure that the environment is a better place.
All sea turtles are now endangered. Poached for their eggs, meat, and shells, they also drown in fishing nets. At this rate, it won't be long until they disappear into thin air. Say no to turtle products, because once they're gone, they're gone.
This iconic African presents the narrative of a man destined to exert an imperishable global influence in Western education. His was a story of a freeborn, captured and sold into slavery. He was born in Oshogun, a native Yoruba village near Iseyin in Okeogun axis of southwest Nigeria. Samuel Ajayi Crowther was the foundation student of Fora Bay College, Sierra Leone, the foremost university where the pioneer set of native Africans were educated. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's greatest contribution to humanity was his translation of the Holy Bible into the Yoruba language. The man who authored the Yoruba dictionary was also credited with the translation of English classic hymns into Yoruba and the Ekwere languages. Samuel Ajayi Crowther's private residence in Badagry, incidentally the first story building in Nigeria, is an Akaba museum dedicated to the memory of Africa's first bishop. Western Spring Television identifies Samuel Ajayi Crowther as a watershed character in history.
Here are 5 amazing fun facts I bet you never knew about Christianity.
Number 1, there are over 2.4 billion Christians worldwide.
Amazing fun fact number 2. The Bible is one of the best-selling books of all time, with more than 100 million copies sold every year.
Most Christians believe in heaven and hell.
The Bible is the most translated book in the world, with more than 3,000 languages.
Amazing fun fact number 5. Most Christians throw science out of the window without realizing that most scientists are Christians. Hello, I am Pastor Steve Akinwumi.
And I am Dr. ATEWEH Oyewole.
Join us as we highlight and discuss day-to-day issues pertaining to the day-to-day living of every Christian.
Issues in Christendom shows every Sunday on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
COVID-19 is a global crisis. Businesses, cities, even countries were shut down by a disease traced to a wildlife market. We must never let it happen again. In captivity, wild animals are potential sources of disease. To protect our wildlife and our health, say no to illegal bushmeat and report wildlife crime. Keep them wild and keep us safe.
The 1914 Amalgamation Treaty is synonymous to the birth of Nigeria. Frederick Lugard, a British Army captain and an outlaw who struck gold in Africa, became the instrument used by destiny to make it happen. The amalgamation of Nigeria was designed for economic reasons by the colonial administration to offset Northern Protectorate budget deficit by Southern Protectorate surplus returns. The amalgamation had ab initio created imbalance in the economic political structure of Nigeria and was responsible for the persistent hiccups in the efforts to forge a united country till today. Nigeria's amalgamation was labeled as the mistake of 1914 by native northern conservatives who neither wanted it nor contributed anything significant to its sustenance. Western Springer Television identifies with Amalgamation Treaty of 1914 as a watershed event in history. Born Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1905, Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 19...
Yes, you're welcome back. It's Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. We get talking now, and it's about the worsening situation of insecurity in Nigeria. It's quite disheartening and really discomforting to hear that things are getting out of hand, for the want of a better word, talking about security. Hardly can you pick up a paper without really seeing X numbers of persons abducted in X state, X Y number of persons abducted in Y state, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Before, when you talk about banditry, when you talk about kidnapping, terrorism, it was more of a northeastern part of the nation thing, talking about Borno, Yobe, some other states like that. But then it has escalated over the years. You now have the dimension of what is happening in the northwestern part of the nation, the Kaduna state, in the north central. I want to talk about Niger State and, of course, Kogi State as well, some of the states. And it's really, really disheartening. There's another dimension that has refused to die down. I'm talking about the southeastern part, the Eastern Security Network situation, the agitators, IPOB, and the apologists, and the armed part as well, wreaking havoc, especially in Imo State. Also last week, we still had some situation there, and this is what we'll be looking at today. Towards the election, it appears there was some kind of calm, and just after the election, the situation skyrocketed as well. There have been kidnappings in Kebbi State. Some students of Federal College that were kidnapped earlier in the year have not been released. Many of them, I'm talking about in our recent past now, the situation in Kaduna State as well, especially the southern part of Kaduna, the Kajuru, Kachia local government, people just being moved, you know, in like an exodus, persons being kidnapped in their homes in Safara State, for example. Last month now, some students of universities that are or colleges rather, were abducted. It was reported some graduates going for NYSC were abducted on their way to Zamfara State, I think from Akwa Ibom State as well. Many situations that anybody of good conscience will hear, and then their ears will tingle to say what is happening in our nation. We interrogate this morning and some of the dynamics playing around this situation. And of course, the basic function of any serious government all over the world, firstly, is the security of human lives and properties. Where are we getting it wrong? What is the situation? Are we overwhelmed? Is our security architecture in a kind of way leaking? Who is at fault here? We've had a change of guards, especially with the new administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, across the military and, of course, the police chief as well. But it seems things are not improving. We talked to a security expert this morning and have in the studio with us Mr. Akin Adeyi. He's a security expert and, of course, a policy analyst as well. Mr. Adeyi, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning. It's my pleasure. Good morning.
Let's get straight into it. Why, and I'm choosing my words carefully, why are we back here? There is a resurgence, and it's staring us at the face. This is not a political thing. This is not a tribal thing. This is for anybody of good conscience to see that things are getting out of hand again.
Thank you very much. You see, it's quite unfortunate that insecurity have come to take the fall in the issues that we have in Nigeria. Before now, it used to be the security last. But now, before you talk anything or do anything, it is security first. Even while drawing programs in those days for social outing or any government program, you see that it is security that will come last. But now, when the government or any organization is at the stage of conceptualization of idea or program, the first thing they will talk is security. When you see people throw party these days, they spend more money on security than even the food that they are going to give you. Then you as a celebrant will be so worried to such that you want to phone every of your guests, whether they have gotten home safely or anything like that. It is as bad as that. Nobody is sure of what will happen next. And you asked how we got here. Carelessness.
Carelessness.
Yes. Dishonesty. On everybody's part, but particularly because the leadership that we had in the past, and probably the present one may have inherited it, consciously or subconsciously, they have not been sincere in the fight against this insecurity. It's like they found more of business opportunity in all of these things than safety, provision of safety and security for their people. Otherwise, why is it that the same problem will reoccur and in the same fashion and without anybody getting a solution to it? It's not possible. And with this high deployment of funds to these security problems, the same result or even worse result is what we are getting. Like you have said now, it was limited to the north before, but it has escalated into this place now. Everywhere, what you hear is kidnapping. Although world over, kidnapping is a thriving business. But it depends on how you react to it that will make people go into it again. But the reaction has been very poor and very encouraging to the perpetrators. That is why we continue to have a repeat and even improved versions of it. So, like, when I say on seriousness on the part of the leadership, when you are fighting a crime somewhere in the neighborhood, you must make provision to deter the perpetrator from perpetrating same in another state that is in the neighborhood. Because, the moment you smoke them in this place, this is where they will run to. They always look for a safe haven where they can perpetrate their act and without being disturbed. Like the other time, Lagos was impounding Okada from the Okada riders. I told the then governor here that he should be on guard. These people that they got their Okada seized from Lagos will migrate to Oyo State and Osun, that we will have influx of them. And it happened. And if you look at it now, these Okada riders in towns now, in the town now, you see that most of them are from the north. It is either those that couldn't fight or enter into crime, or those that fought, probably lost, or those that are wanted, are on the wanted list. Or thereabout. Those are the people that we have now as Okada riders here. But has anybody prepared for that? Was there any government program on ground to checkmate them, not to import and inject into our own society what they were doing there? No profiling. Everybody gets into the country anyhow and into another state anyhow. Free movement without any profiling. You talk to some of them that you want to go to this place, and Gubele, he doesn't know. Even the pronunciation, he wouldn't know. So that is part of it. When I say the leadership and we ourselves, we are responsible for this. But kidnapping, mind you, it's a thriving business all over the world. But in spite of the risk, because of the economic situation, more people will go into it. And when there is no punishment, serious punishment for it, what do you have? It continues to attract others into it. And there are various forms of kidnapping. You see, the one in Israel now, it was another thing when kidnapping entered into it. They seized some people by force. When you see someone, you keep that person in custody, you limit the movement of that person forcefully, that is kidnapping. Then when you start asking for ransom as this payment or in any form, or you use it to press a demand, it becomes a kidnapping to make to attract ransom or to demand. You can be kidnapped for a change of policy or government or anything. So, but right now, the government is not doing enough about this. So we cannot say the people are careless. That's why they got kidnapped. Although that one, if we go deeper into it, there could be some carelessness on the part of the victims. But what about those ones that are not careless? What about those ones? So that's why I said the government seems not to be doing anything serious about it. And the problem can be traced to whether those ones that are in government, our policymakers, our leaders, whether they themselves know anything whatsoever about security.
That's where I'm going to. Let me just hold you there because let me bring us up to speed about something that was published by Global Peace Index. That's as of 2022, the Global Peace Index produced by the Institute of Economics and Peace. Nigeria ranked 143 amongst 163 independent nations and territories according to its level of peacefulness. But as of 2021, the terrorism index in Nigeria indicator stood at 8.23%. That is high, 8.23. By and large, compared with other countries of the world, whereby if you look at places like Sudan, we know what Al-Shabaab, we know what it looks like in Kenya, all this country. But by and large, how did they start? Before now, you could easily still be outside 10 p.m. still, but anybody that thinks of his or her life at this moment in time, even by 7 p.m., you're indoors. The state of insecurity is so large now that you don't know where it's going to come from. Before now, it was always probably armed robbers coming to your house, but that has reduced drastically. Terrorism, kidnapping is the in thing these days. What should the government have done 10 years ago? Because I looked at a post I had on Facebook 11 years ago. I knew I posted that, please, let's be careful. The state of insecurity in Nigeria these days is unpalatable. 11 years ago, 11 years after, it's ravaging this country. How did this get into the land, and what could government have done before now?
Yes, I've said it, that the government have not been sincere enough. But at the same time, you see, the approach or the approaches that the government have been giving this issue is encouraging this crime against the society. When somebody, let's say, for example, if by 10 p.m. Something untoward happened in an area or to a particular person, when you go to report to the authority, you'll be surprised. I say, I can't want to 10 p.m. Is that supposed to be? When there is an issue, the government will be quick to say, to declare curfew. Just like we have in Ilobu. Curfew should be the last option in any situation. Government restricting movement and everything is encouraging the perpetrator. Because what you should do is, as government, you move in everything in your arsenal. Leave the people to live their life. Since it is the night that these people will perpetrate this crime, and you have enough security personnel and every other thing to fight it, leave them to come and meet those people in the night.
One would say that as a different context.
You say?
The curfew thing that you just mentioned, some will say that's a different context, is to forestall any bad eventuality.
When you are capable, you don't forestall. When you are strong enough, you don't tell the armed robbers not to come to your house. Let them come. What you put in place is what will frustrate and deter them, what will prevent them, and what will expose them to arrest.
Wouldn't you rather prevent than attack?
That is what I'm saying. You prevent. You put gates in your house now, you put CCTV camera, you put security guard, you put armed men on guard.
Yeah.
Let them come. That is it. But you seem to be pampering these people when you say, don't go out in the night is the solution to these killings. What will happen during the day? Those people that you say they should not go out in the night, you are just buying time. The night will come later, the curfew will be over, and they will be back to business. Let trap for them in the night, get them arrested. Like the Yorubas will say that the severance of the head from the neck is not the solution to headache. For how long are we going to tell people not to go out? Is it not their right to go out in the night? Now, in Nigeria, going out in the night, unlike when we were growing up, you can trek from this place to Abere without any molestation or anything in those days. But now, who dare do that? By 9, you'll be jittery that it's already late, and you'll be overwhelmed with fear of attack. So the approach, the solutions that we're giving to these things is encouraging these perpetrators. We have considered the night to them now, the evil people. And they are contesting the day with us. Consciously or subconsciously, we have ceded the night to them. That night belongs to evil people. Even they will be telling you. And then we want to share the night with them, forcefully, in some cases. We put our programs, particularly religious program, we put it in the night. And then at the same time, we have ceded the night to these people, that they own the night. It is not supposed to be so. Citizens should hold 24 hours of the day. They should be able to move, they should be able to do their businesses and everything. It is the government that must work to provide security, enough security so that people can move, so that we take this night back from these people. Then we consolidate on the day that is given to us.
All right. You know, Mr. Ade, one would say, as it is now, that desperate situations cause for desperate measures. And so maybe some of these, in the curfew thing you talked about, is not to forestall and to stop any eventualities there. But then that's a different kettle of fish. But then speaking about day or night, one would say it's not really about the time of the day or night, because some of these kidnappings, yes, they happened in the night, but then some of these, you see some of them who are daredevils, who do whatever they do during the day without recourse to anybody. In fact, some of them have been seen over and over to overrun military installations. Military formations have been overrun several times. Some of the times they are repelled. Some of the times the military, get hold of them and then they neutralize them. But in the middle of all this, just like we talked about, it was first about terrorism. And later the kidnapping thing entered, and it was banditry. You've talked about the business angle, the commercialization of this venture, and that it was first from where I started from Yobe, and now to the northeast or the northwest, Kaduna State, to be very precise, and then north central, and then you see the influx of what is happening. At the time there was kidnapping, there is still, because there are some persons or few persons who still had issues, who had their persons kidnapped as early, as far as I'm concerned, as at August. Some persons were kidnapped up, even in Osun State here. And then the situation, the dynamics in the southeast, which is a whole kettle of fish, a different kettle of fish on its own, and is appearing at a time that we had some level of calm. And then now the thing has sprouted again. In September, in Zamfara State, Federal University in Gusau was attacked. Some students were kidnapped. Some of them have been released. I talked about some yet to be core member at the time who were kidnapped on the way, and it's going and on like that. Niger State in the North Central looks like the hotbed of kidnappers right now, and something happened in which the state governor, Mr. Bago, was quoted to say that he's having meeting with kidnappers, with bandits. How many persons are saying this? And I'm heading towards having this de-radicalization of bandits, of terrorists, negotiation. In fact, for the want of a better, or some say it's just semantics, you are negotiating with them, but though the government, through the governor, said, we are not negotiating, we are only urging them to lay down their arms. And Mr. Ade, you remember, it has been done in Katsina State before. Mr. Masari did it, and he even said he regretted because it didn't work. Bello Matawale of Zamfara State, former governor, had it. It didn't work. Now Mr. Bago is saying, I'm negotiating. No, I'm not negotiating. I'm talking with them. Doesn't it look like the instrumentality of the state has been set aside and is looking like we are helpless? A situation that we keep negotiating, talking, having meeting, urging these perpetrators, these criminals, because I think that's what they are. What does he speak?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad that you travel round and round and you got back to my point where I said the government have kind of been treating all this matter with kid gloves, and at the same time we seems to be pampering these people. You know, that was where I started, and I talk about carelessness, and which you have just mentioned. I talk about so many things. Thank God you came back to that. That like the one that I said about curfew. You put your car on the road. Don't put the road on your car. When a government will come out and tell you, do not travel through Ado-Ekiti to so place that kidnappers are there now or something like that. A government telling people like that. You had the information. You process it in intelligence. Then you move your men to that road. Clear whatever is there. Let the citizen pass. The government will advise you to avoid the road. Not that they are doing anything. It's not because they are walking on the road. No. They won't go there, but they will tell you, don't go there. So the kidnapper or whoever, they have seized that road. Then we start using another road. That was the example I gave when I was talking about curfew. That it is not about locking the citizen inside. That will be solution to any crisis that may be, occurring in a place. So talking about all this kidnapping and everything coming gradually to this place. And then talking about government, particularly governors, going into negotiation or talks with these people. It boils down to what I have said earlier on. When we appointed these governors, was there any time we sat them down to train them on security? Even the administration of the state, how many of them really landed somewhere? The only thing is when you have money in this country, go for election, win the election, begin to answer the title, Mr. Governor.
Was there supposed to be a school or institution where these things are learned? Whereas
the major job of a governor these days is not about all this civil administration, it's about security, provision of security for your people first and foremost. But this is somebody that does not know even the definition of the word security. If you ask him what is security, he couldn't define it. Now you put the safety of greater number of people in the care of this person. He is to make decision. Look at the governor before. I think Masari, carelessly and loosely, he just told his people, go and get guns to protect yourself.
To defend yourself.
He didn't realize the import of that statement. Getting gun might not even be the difficulty. Training on how to shoot gun, when to shoot gun, who are you to shoot, where do you shoot? But he's not talking about that one.
You know, Mr. Ade, one way to say, doesn't that speak to the fact that he is helpless?
He was frustrated. That is the situation.
And quite, for the want of a better word, irresponsible for you to say your subjects should defend themselves.
How many of these governors today, I want to ask you, and you are supposed to ask me a question, but I'm asking you now. How many of them have you read, maybe in the newspaper or they say it in the news, that he has spent money to organize security workshops, seminars, and everything for the community? How many of them is spending money on the formation of neighborhood watch? Is it not only for them to come and react in the fire brigade approach as if they are waiting for this thing to happen so that they can make more money? I think if you look at it sometimes, it looks deliberate that they are waiting for it to happen so that they can dip their hands into security votes. Particularly those of the North. You know, when you have emergency, you don't even rely on your budgetary allocation again. You go to Aso Rock, you tell them, you see what has happened in my state. You can even say the whole allocation of the state, you have spent it on security. So they seem to love it. They enjoy it because they are making money from it. So no governor has ever given this insecurity issue the approach that it needed. They only tell you not to do that again. They don't tell you what to do not to make it happen. How many of them? How many of them went through security training? Whereas it should be. Look at the US now. Before you can become their president, you must have a security background to some extent, whether formal or informal. So that you'll be able to think out of the box. You don't rely on even those security chiefs sometimes. So the problem boils down to insincerity, like I have said. Is it that with all our armament, with all our weaponry, with all everything that we have, we couldn't take care of this little problem? They will kidnap here in Oshobo, move through Ibokun to this until they enter into Ondo State. Nothing will monitor them in the here. Nothing will stop them on the way. Let us remember the incident of Chibok girl. When they moved trailer loads of girls out of a whole state, and there was no traces. Nobody stopped them on the way. And this is a country whereby if you want to travel from this place to that same Maiduguri now, you can only be lucky if you didn't encounter 1,000 checkpoints on the road. From 1 meter away from the other, you continue to enter. Then they move that large number of people. There was no interference from anywhere. So that is why I say there is serious insincerity on the part of government. But now, coming to what today as the other time, that we are still moving on in the same old fashion. That is, this government inherited this problem and it seems not to have been attended to, or even is escalating, sort of. I wouldn't know what is responsible for that, other than what I have said, that this is sincerity. Because these present service chiefs, you can't separate them from the fact that they train under the outgoing ones, the outgone ones. And except they divorce themselves with utmost sincerity from the training they got from that place. If they are mixing the training with what they are doing now, this is what we continue to have.
Is it a training thing?
You train unconsciously and subconsciously sometimes.
The Nigerian Army, Navy, Air Force, they are an institution.
You guys are under Femi Adefila here. He may not be sitting you down to say, do it this way, but you are learning from him. You have imbibed some things from him on your own without him prompting you. You see him every day, you see from what you gain here. He worked somewhere before, he gained some knowledge there, use it for his own personal destiny to establish this way. So you train sometimes, and it depends on when you want to use it and how you want to use it, and you will not use it like your former boss. You know, I pray it doesn't happen. It's going to be a shame if what is going on in the Lobu now should escalate into an embarrassing situation more than where we are. Because the chief of army staff is from that place. So that we don't have a repeat of what we had in the north when the chief of army staff, chief of this, chief of that, they came from the northeast. And the place was being ravaged. Even one of them shared a name with his own hometown. And that was where they went there to go and massacre everybody.
All right.
And you are a service chief.
We hope not.
They went even to the old state of Mr. President, Katsina. They didn't even kidnap The ordinary person, they kidnap is a clan head.
All right,
like
Mr.
Mr.
D, you know, we hope not, because peace agreement has been signed, and it seems the two parties are well comfortable with the arrangement now. We hope the best has been done. But moving on, you talked about the architecture. There has been change of guards recently. As President Tinubu came in, he had a change of service chiefs, all of them. And of course, the IGP was changed as well. And we have new guys now. Now, the thing is, all these formations, all these agencies of government, they are an institution on their own. Either the former bosses did it well, or possibly they didn't achieve much. They are gone. There is new persons there. And if actually you are saying that they got their training from the ones that have not succeeded, one will say that's why we have succession. That's why with people with good ideas, it's only the person at the end of affairs that dictates the shot. Now, new guys are there, and the president had a meeting with them. He has had series of meetings with them to tell them security must be improved. He talked about all theft in the Niger Delta, many dimensions of these things. I don't want these things again. He gave them matching order, but it seems things are escalating. You've spoken about many dimensions of insincerity or possibly incapable. Now, let me talk about the incapability aspect. Is it that our security architecture, the numbers, the trainees, you remember that these are institutions that have been given accolades, especially anytime they travel out of the country for peacekeeping mission, they come back, people praise them, you know, all the world over. But it seems the war within, we seem not to be winning. Are we incapable? Does the training that they have, can it not, you know, weather this storm? And thirdly, is the security architecture, their numbers, in their trainings, and their willingness, the gods, are they overwhelmed?
You still come back to my point where I say insincerity. Talk about...
I'm talking about their strength now.
Yeah, it's not about strength. How you get to know this is that, you see, the system of reaction that they have adopted, this, every department, let me put it that way, in security trade, what they have done now is they wait for it to happen. Why you will know that they are capable is that just let it happen, that they kill 1, 2, 3 of them somewhere. The same security people that waited for it to happen will move there, they will level the place, deal with those that perpetrated the crime, and the place will become safe. Immediately, they touch one of them. Why is it so? The same people that couldn't provide enough security for us, immediately something happened, something untoward happened to their personnel. They go there with everything in this world and make the place safe. Is it that they don't have the capacity? If they can do that, and they will do it within a twinkle of an eye. When they kill a policeman now, when these criminals kill one policeman now, you will be surprised at the GV that the police will bring out the perpetrator, that these were the people that committed the act. You'll be surprised. But let them kill one ordinary citizen. They will even tell the family to go and bring money for investigation. So you can't talk about capability. They have everything to deal with this situation. But it is what they want to deal with that they are dealing with. And they are not lazy. It's because there's no serious marching order coming from somewhere. It is wanting to give order. It is wanting to follow, to monitor your order, whether it is being operated or adhered to. You don't, if I call people into this place now and say, go and do. What about our monitoring strategy? Do we monitor those orders that we dish out to some people? Or is it that they just come to the Aso Rock, we talk to them, and after they turn their back, and that is the end of the connection between us? Whatever that person is doing there on the field. We have had a situation where a president told the Inspector General of Police to proceed to a particular state, Benue State. And the same Inspector General of Police proceeded to Adamawa and was lodging in an hotel and the president never knew until journalists were telling him that the IG that you said should proceed to Adamawa was all along in this, enjoying his life. So every order that Mr. President dishes out has to be followed, monitored, to see that this order is properly carried out. we bought equipment. We bought Tikano or whatever at the other time.
Kano jets.
Jet and everything. Are they using them? Is it because somebody wanted to make money out of it and they just... We go to depot and everywhere. You see equipment that have been there for 15, 20 years. They have not used it once. And they will announce to us that they have procured this so thing that will be solution to our problem. You see the thing rusting away there.
All right.
So it's not about capability. They are capable.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's come down a little bit, Mr. Deisa, because you made mention of the fact that we have equipment. Government has spent billions of naira, dollars on getting all this equipment and what have you. But still, today you probably will hear it in the news. The Nigerian Air Force have bombarded, they bombed terrorist hideout, and they've done this and that. The next morning, you hear that terrorists have again killed 20 people, kidnapped 14 people. Looking at all these stories, are we in an aspect of just media trial from the men, the gallant men? We won't lie. Yes, being on the war front takes a whole lot. The gallant men of the various security agencies. Is this just about an aspect of media trial and nothing is being done with the large equipment, with the large accusation of all this equipment? What's been done? You just stated it, that there are some that are just left there 10, 5, 15 years.
Go to that place.
Why is this so? Because if an American, the Marines, the SEAL, if they have equipment, though that we know they have better equipment though, by now, I'm not sure things like this would, all these so-called people would exist. Why do we have this situation in Nigeria? Because the state of insecurity in Nigeria today is alarming.
Very alarming.
What could be done? How can we change the dynamics?
That's why I said the whole thing boils down on the leadership and sincerity. All these our leaders today, what about the processes that produce them? Where are they coming from? From the headquarters of insincerity, lies, deceit, and everything. Somebody that bribed his way to get to government. You see, we say bribery is a crime. That is the giving and the taker. Now, the two of them. Now, the society that took money from them to make them their leader. The leader himself that paid to get there. That is where the whole thing started from.
The recruitment process.
The recruitment process. When I saw a referent become a governor, I look at it very well. And then somebody got there. Later come to say he was promoting Sharia law. That's a tabligh or whatever. And to become a governor in Nigeria, 80% of the way through you get there must be through bribery.
Mr. Ade, isn't that supposed to be a good thing when you saw a priest become a governor?
How can you say you are a priest and you become governor with the system that produces governor in Nigeria today, when everything you would do to get there is to tell lies, one, two is to bribe, two is to manipulate election, pay somebody to make sure that that ballot paper is tampered with, hold terrible meetings in the night that were not for good reason, mobilize boys to go and attack some people, and in the process, some people would die. I mean, your hands are soaked in blood to get there and become governor, and you still come to tell me that you are a referent, you are a pastor, that you are a Muslim cleric, and you become a governor in Nigeria. All the roads that lead to becoming leader in Nigeria are terrible roads. That is where we are coming from. You want to say you are a governor, you are a manager, you are a referent or bishop, you want to become a governor, and you have army of youths that are criminals that you are using to procure your ambition. Is that in the Bible? Is that in the way of the Lord? So everybody in Nigeria that wants to become, you see a situation where we have a governor belonging to a fraternity group like what do you call them? They have their names. All these terrible criminal gangs that are operating in the town today. So by looking at it from that angle, you come to ask yourself, how did this person travel to get here? How is he going to divorce himself from that arrangement? Is that possible? When those people will come and ask for reward of their labor, and you go by way of even giving them appointments into your government. It's everywhere, not in the Southwest alone. It's terrible. It's even more terrible in the North. So that will make us talk about how the same person now will come and deal sincerely with our security problem. When he himself has constituted himself, somebody that is supposed to be the chief security officer of the state, has constituted himself into a security threat to that state by managing such groups, by interacting with them, by fraternizing with them.
You mean the criminals?
Yes, now. So it will have a limit to which he can deal with that situation. You go to equity with clean hands.
All right. All right. You know, we talked about capability the other time, and you made mention of the fact that if there is an attack on the military personnel or the police, that they move in swiftly, you know, to neutralize those who have done that. But I think there is a statistic that speaks to otherwise. You know, when it was reported that at least 26 members of the Nigerian security forces were attacked and killed, and 8 wounded in an ambush by gunmen in central Nigeria. That was in August. Till now, there has not been anybody that has been found. You remember that incident? They were attacked, and they were instrumental in crashing a military helicopter. Till now, they have not, you know, those persons have really not been made to give an account of what really happened. Now, let's look at this now. Now, there is the negotiation. Yes.
Before you move into that, you see, in security practices, it is not always that you want to arrest the perpetrator. You neutralize them and move on. So don't think those that kill those security personnel, don't think they have not been dealt with. So they don't, and you see that security operatives will not come and display corpses. It's forbidden.
But sometimes when they make success, they announce.
No, they announce, they will not show you dead human being, like all this quack, this thing that is terrorists will do.
All right.
The law does not permit them to show the number of people killed, how we killed them.
Not to show, but to announce.
But when they go to neutralize, when they were attacked is what you will hear sometimes. But when they go to neutralize them, they won't tell you.
All right.
That, okay, we have neutralized those people, this and that. They move on with other assignments. So it is not always that trained security operative will come and here and tell you, even when they kill 100, they tell you they kill 2.
They neutralize,
and they don't kill, they neutralize. Or they remove.
I'm getting some security language.
All right, the conversation will continue very shortly. We'll go on a short break right now. We're still talking about the worsening situation of our security or insecurity in Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Here in South Africa, there is still a healthy population of lions contributing to tourism and creating thousands of jobs. Sadly, in Nigeria, we have less than 50 lions left in the wild. Imagine if we could help their numbers recover and we become a wildlife tourist destination. So let's protect our lions because poaching steals from us all.
The Berlin Conference of 1884 defined the configuration of Africa, which hitherto existed as a continent of multiple kingdoms and empires under native rulers. The conference, otherwise referred to as Congo Conference, regulated European colonization and trade in Africa as initiated by German leader Otto von Bismarck. The Berlin Conference is often called the scramble for and partitioning of Africa, as each of the imperial powers carved separate portions of the continent for themselves without recourse to racial and cultural identities and differences. 137 years after the Berlin Conference was held, Africa remains a legitimized playground for European nations that sought to exploit its wealth and resources and manipulate its human capital to promote trades and investments of Western powers. Western Spring Television identifies Berlin Conference as a major event in history. James Ajibolaige was a lawyer who obtained his first degree in classics from Nigeria's premier University of Ibadan. Born September 13, 1930, the orator and the polyglot spoke impeccable English, French, Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba languages. His fine diction placed him among classical orators and public speakers like Cicero, the Roman orator. This attribute earned him the prefix Cicero of Esauke. He authored Kaduna Boy, an autobiography, Detainee Diary, Constitution, and The People, among 6 other books. Bolaige was a colorful politician, elected governor of Oyo State in 1979 and appointed a federal minister in 1999. He was a pioneer founder of Afenifere, the Yoruba social, cultural, and political group. He invested his political sagacity to propel the group to the height of political leadership and decision-making in the southwest of Nigeria. Bolaige was assassinated on the 23rd December 2001. His murderers are yet to be apprehended till today. Western Spring Television identifies Bolaige as a watershed character in history. The British Empire was the largest and the most powerful in the world. At its zenith, the empire embraced a quarter of the Earth's land surface and imposed her imperial majesty's rule on more than 458 million peoples across nations and continents. The empire took off with overseas possessions and trading posts established by England, spread over 3 million kilometers between 16th and early 18th century. Like previous empires, the British Empire began to crumble on its weight of overstretched territories and growing unrest in our various colonies. Today, the British Empire no longer exists. What is in place is the Commonwealth of Nations, a loose association of sovereign states which recognize the King of England as the titular head. Western Spring Television identifies the British Empire as a watershed empire in history.
Bon, déjà, je m'appelle Koray King, je suis artiste graphiste illustrateur. Ce que je sais, c'est que je me suis juste rendu compte que j'avais un message à passer, à dire au monde. Et je ne savais pas que ce type de message pouvait faire de moi un artiste. La notion de la conservation et de la protection, je ne me suis pas réveillé pour ce combat. C'est comme je dis, je me suis retrouvé dans ce combat. Les animaux, comme je dis, vivent avec des peuples autochtones de la forêt et des peuples anciens. Donc on ne peut pas dissocier. J'appartiens à un milieu, je suis au Gabon, un milieu tropical, très humide. Donc du coup, le rythme et la vie que la nature impose aux hommes, tu ne peux que te sentir à l'aise. Il y a une façon d'être à l'aise et d'être bien lorsqu'on vit dans ces zones tropicales, humides. Pourquoi les Gabonais doivent-ils se battre pour préserver leur faune sauvage? En même temps, c'est une question qui me fait rire. En même temps, c'est une question qui m'attriste parce que on n'a pas besoin de vous dire de faire quelque chose pour votre milieu de vie. C'est spontané. C'est comme quand tu as faim. Non, tu sais qu'il faut que tu manges quelque chose. Nous sommes un peuple de la forêt. Et comme je disais, nous sommes... En fait, ce n'est pas l'un contre l'autre. C'est l'un avec l'autre. C'est l'un et l'autre. On ne peut pas dire culture gabonaise sans dire nature.
Welcome back, and here we are. The program is still Morning Spring from Western Spring Television. If you are just joining, we have been discussing the deteriorating insecurity, state of insecurity in Nigeria, and we have been discussing this with a security expert and a policy maker. Mr. ATEWEH has been shedding quite a whole lot of why and how we got it wrong, but there's always a way around getting it right again. Thank you most sincerely, Mr. ATEWEH. Let's quickly, because of the want of time here, has our porous borders been a part of why we have the state of insecurity in Nigeria?
Yeah, I said it the other time. It's a big part of it, if not the biggest. I said it the other time that there is no profiling of anybody in this country. We don't have data, sincere data.
Anybody just comes in and we don't
know how many people were born in the hospital on a particular day. We don't have correct data. Everybody's just existing. That is why you see that the person that went to the same primary school with you will it will take time for you to know that we actually went to the same primary school and we were in the same class. I went for my primary school testimonial, and they were bold to tell me that except I go to the Ministry of Education, they don't have a record of it again. They don't have a record. They didn't shy away from saying it. So, and most of us that we are moving around like this, even if you go to the hospital, that you registered your birth with your birth certificate, the hospital will tell you that, okay, this document that you are having, we don't have it. Go to census population that will be responsible for this thing. People don't know that when their relation or anybody dies, they have to go and register it that so person is dead. The awareness, the consciousness, the orientation is not there. It's only for you to move into this place and be able to speak the language very well that makes you part of us. So all these things boils down to the fact that we don't have sufficient data. We don't have at all.
Mr. ATEWEH, is it lack of data or it's synergy? And I'll tell you why. We have the NIN, the BVN, the driver's license, the birth certificates when our children are born, at least recently in hospitals. All of this put together. Is it lack of data? They speak to data or is synergy?
How correct are those data that we think we are? When you get to somewhere, today the who will lead today Afolabi, and they will still tell him that you are the one because every other thing will tally.
But in banking, those things are rejected. You have to go and synergize it.
The banking are just pretending to be what they are not, because most of the time it is these banks that people will enter through these banks that people will enter into your account and deal with your account. If they really have solid data and solid security to protect their customers, will that happen? Will it happen? So we don't have data. That is the basis of this thing. You see now, the police will arrest a criminal here, and except there was carelessness in the statement of the criminal, they will never know from here immediately he was arrested that this is the same person that committed so thing that have been in prison in Kano. Except he reveals to them. There's nothing to show. Whereas out there, in those countries where they are more serious than us, immediately they arrest him and they got his fingerprint or even his photograph, put it on system. The system will tell them the whole story about this person. That it is this same person that was in prison at so time, that he was the person that was arrested for so thing. So that is where they will start their investigation.
I think Nigerian police has something like that now.
They
take pictures and put those persons in the database.
They are trying.
Yeah, I think they are spoken to that. Now, you know, for the want of time, something happened, was it last month, in which a state governor, the current governor of Zamfara State, came out to say he learned and he knew that some agencies of the federal government came into his state to have meetings with bandits. In fact, he granted a press conference, the state government made a release on that, and then there was this back and forth between the federal government and the state government of Zamfara, people saying the governor should not play politics with the lives of the people. And then the governor responded again and maintained his stance that he knows what he's saying, that how can agencies of the federal government come into his state to have meetings with bandits, with terrorists, without informing him? What do you make of that? When the state government is sounding like that, that he knew, he has his evidence that is happening.
We should ask the state governor, is it about ego now? Or is it about his love for his people that made him to say that? Is it the ego that I am the governor, you came into my state, you never told me? Or that he has a better approach that he wanted to share with them? Or that it is an aberration for them to come in without letting him know? What exactly was he fighting for?
Well, he's the #1 security officer there, isn't it?
If he was doing well, nobody would enter into his state. And they went into his state. He didn't get them at the stage of coming into his state or ahead of their coming because he didn't have intelligence. That's why I said there is no data. Somebody will take off from Abuja, enter into your state as the governor. You didn't know. You can't do that in areas where they are serious. The governor will know right from the time you are planning. That is planning stage of coming to talk to those people.
But he doesn't have power over those federal agencies, does he?
And that's why I said that we are not strong enough. If you are strong enough as the chief security of a government delegation, federal government delegation...
How do you mean strong? When you say strong enough, how do you mean strong?
Strong enough in what we should do, especially in the area of information and intelligence gathering. A powerful government delegation will leave, enter into your state, whether they sneak in the night or anything, you didn't know. They left before you got to know that they were in my state. And you still have the authority to come and say, I'm the chief security officer, I'm the governor of this state. If they had wanted to come and do something more terrible, that is how they would do it and get away. And you start crying thereafter.
Mr. Adeyi, if that is true, that yes, because the federal government have not come out to denounce or to confirm, but if it is true that they came into that state, was that right?
Well, it depends. The federal government may have intelligence, even on the same governor, that he has an illicit connections with these people. The federal government is in a position to have information and intelligence on every governor, what they are doing, whether they are sincere about it or not. They might not confront him. They might go at his back. And maybe that's why he's paying now. There's nothing that the governor will be doing in his state that the federal government will not have the information. And that the federal government will not have advice of the intelligence community. That this is how you go about it. If you go through that governor, you will be wasting your time because it's part of them.
This is an hypothesis, by the way. This is not a confirmation.
No, we have received, let me put it, maybe information or confirmed report before that some governors were even into illicit affairs, romance with these terrorists.
Mr. Adeyi,
so I may decide now, like you are here now, if I want to do something with this place and your name are prominently featured as part of the problem, I may decide to go to that man without your name to find solution to my problem. And we should ask the government, what is he paying? Has the federal government come there to pay the terrorists to attack him or to make his state ungovernable? If they have not done that, if it is for the purpose of achieving peace for his state, why is he paying?
Mr. Adeyi, you know, we won't allow you to go without us asking this question, and it is, should we negotiate with terrorists, with bandits, with criminals? The result has shown that it hasn't paid before. Matawale said he regretted it. Bello Masari said he regretted it. He even took pictures with some of these bandits. Now it seems some of these governors are going this route. Is it that they are not doing it well, or we shouldn't do that at all?
Just like the Christian Association of Nigeria said, do not negotiate with bandits. Just that was about.
The point is this. I'll still go back to what I said before. It takes the deep to crawl into the deep. You must know very well about security before you go into such a venture that you want to negotiate with bandits. If you don't know anything, and then we have international negotiators that you can contract to do that for you. And they are doing it direct now because they want to come back and tell the state that the bandits will pay them so thing a month, you know, they will have to it. It's just like when robbery happened in a bank, the bank will said so amount was scattered away, and I wonder whether they must have contacted the criminals that took their money to know the exact amount that was stolen from their bank. So there's nothing bad in negotiating with them. But you negotiate on point of strength. At the time you have decimated them. Now you now say, come, let's talk. It's like you beating a child. Flog him very well, and let's say, oh, yeah, come. What do you say? What's your problem? Then the child will say, that is the level, I mean, at the stage that at which you can negotiate with them, not at point of weakness. Maybe because they are spanking you, or you make it look like you have been spanked, and that's why you are talking to them. No.
All right.
We have to go.
Yes, we really have to go. Thank you for being here, Mr. Akin Adeyi. He's a security expert and, of course, a policy and public affairs analyst. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
We are very happy to have you. And, of course, all right. This will be the first one for the week. Hopefully, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. We have been speaking on the worsening insecurity situation in the country. And Mr. Akin Adeyi here has spoken a lot on this matter. It's a continuing conversation till we get it right here. God bless Nigeria. Please do well to follow us on our social media platform, on X, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Of course, we are live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. You can have a recap of this program as well. Femi Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you to everybody who's been a part of this program as well, and most especially to our guests as well, to the entire transmission team. We appreciate your efforts. We'll be back again tomorrow. Tunde Idowu is my name at Irresistible TD on X. See you tomorrow.